Also called an LBO, is a financial transaction in which company is purchased with the combination of equity and debt. So the company's cash flow is a collateral which is used to secure and repay the borrowed money. So the fundamental question that you have is, if we borrow 90% or 90 billion, who will pay the interest? The answer to that question is the target company will pay, because the target company that you are acquiring has a significant amount of cash flow, which will be absolutely secure and it will be sufficient enough to repay the debt. The company is doing the acquiring leverage buyout, typically a private equity firm. So private equity is basically extension of venture capital. So venture capital and private equity both basically purchases the business, but the difference between venture capital and private equity is venture capital generally invests in the business which are seed or growth stage or startup stage, whereas private equity firms generally buy businesses which are mature and they are at the later stage of their life cycle. So private equity firm will use the assets as leverage. The assets and cash flow of the company that is being acquired, which is called target company or seller, is used as collateral and it is used to pay the financing cost. The purpose of LBO is to allow the company to make major acquisition without committing lot of capital. In the most typical leverage buyout example, there is a ratio of 90% debt to 10% equity. While a leverage buyout can be complicated and take a while to complete, it can benefit both the buyer and the seller. With seller, there is no problem. Seller may sell you in form of cash also because he needs cash. So whether you pay him by borrowing or whether you pay him through equity, it doesn't matter to a seller. For a buyer, it is advantageous because you just have to put 10% of your money and 90% is bank's money. Now, why do businesses do LBOs? So number one, leverage buyout is often part of mergers and acquisition strategy. They are also sometimes used to acquire the competition and enter into new markets to help the company to diversify a portfolio. So leverage buyout is one of the ways of doing mergers and acquisition. One of the advantages, you put very less capital to acquire a company. Buyers like leverage buyouts because they don't have to put very much of their own money. You just have to put 10% of your own money and 90% of somebody else's money. So in that case, when you put less money, the return will be very high. So it will improve your return on assets or internal rate of return. So LBO allows firm to better equity returns. Since you're putting less of your money, the equity component is very less. And the profits are very high. Your earnings per share will be very high. And the return on investment will also be very high. The seller is able to get the price they want for the business and has a very easy way to exit the company with a solid plan in the place. So leverage buyout is an ideal exit strategy for business owners who are looking to cash out. So anybody who is planning to cash out will go for an LBO because LBO will give you straightforward cash. For the acquirer, it's very beneficial that you don't have to put your own money. You're acquiring a business which is cash rich, so it will repay on its own. So that is also affordable. Now, what are some of the reasons for LBOs? What could be some of the reasons why companies go for LBO? So one is very straightforward, that you would like to go for going private. To make a public limited company, private limited company, you can do something called a management buyout. So management buyout or leverage buyout. Management buyout basically means you are buying out the stake from the management and you become the manager. And leverage buyout is you are buying out the stake from the management, but with the help of substantial debt. So the difference between LBO and MBO is the use of instrument. In LBO, you use debt more. In MBO, you use equity more. To break a large company, sometimes it may happen that big companies, as you grow more, you become inefficient and it's very difficult for you to manage yourself. So it's better to cut the big company into pieces and sell it off to somebody who can manage it better. See, it's very common that when companies become very big, they have so many units. Some of the units may not work efficiently or you are not able to leverage. So it's better to break that company, go for a leverage buyout transaction and convert it into more profitable venture. To improve the underperforming company. Why you go private? One of the reason is the company is not performing well. So you convert it into a private company with the form of LBO. work on its efficiency, and when the company becomes very good, you can again make it public. So if an investor believes your company could be eventually worth more than that is currently, a leverage buyout could be a good option. The investor would assume the debt with the belief that holding onto a company for a certain amount of time will increase its value and allow them to pay off the debt to make a profit. So the purpose is very simple. The investor has a strong belief that your company is worth more valuable than it is now. So it will convert it into a private company. It will run for a very long period, make it more profitable, and sell it at a higher market value at a later stage. To acquire the competitor also. Now, it's a very interesting thing. A small company cannot acquire a big company because of the cash problem. For example, you are just a 10 million or 20 million company, and you would like to acquire a company which is 100 million. Now, it is not possible for you to acquire, but with the LBO, you just have to put 10 million and 90 million will come from bank. So even a smaller company who would like to acquire a larger competitor can do it. So leverage buyout will give you a benefit that a small company can also acquire a large company, provided you have the capacity to service the debt. So this allows smaller company to grow dramatically, and it can help them to gain new customers and scale more quickly than they would be able to do without an acquisition. So these are some of the